back in 2016, Apple did the unthinkable. They went up on stage and announced the iPhone 7, the first iPhone to get rid of the headphone jack, which caused a lot of people to get upset. But Apple had a solution, and that was AirPods, which they debuted alongside the iPhone 7, and in just a couple of years, they went absolutely viral, and the rest is history. Well, now in 2021, we're finally expecting the regular AirPods to get its first major redesign after 5 years, with the brand new AirPods 3 that will be coming out in just 1 month alongside the iPhone 13. And if you don't believe me, I've got a bunch of leaks and rumors to discuss that will basically confirm the release of these new AirPods. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the AirPods 3 and all of the specs and features we're expecting them to get, and then I'm going to compare them to the previous AirPods 2, the AirPods Pro, and even the future AirPods Pro 2, which are expected to come next year. But before I get into all that fun stuff, let's jump into the major leaks and rumors that we have so far about the AirPods 3. In February of 2020, it was reported that Apple was working on AirPods Pro Lite, which basically look like the Pros but lack the noise cancellation features, which has now been confirmed to be AirPods 3. And then in April, Digitimes basically reported the same thing, that the new AirPods 3 will simply have a similar design to the Pros, adding that they've been delayed into 2021 because of COVID. And once again in June, we heard the exact same, but this time coming from the reliable analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. In October of 2020, Mark Gurman from Bloomberg confirmed AirPods 3 are coming with the Pros design and without ANC, but also adding that it'll have improved battery life and an upgraded wireless chip, most likely being the H2. Moving on, Ming-Chi Kuo then claimed that the AirPods 3 will actually have a hybrid design somewhere between the AirPods 2 and the AirPods Pro. And then after that, we got our very first look at a leaked pair of AirPods 3 from 52 Audio, where they look a lot like the AirPod Pros, but without the silicon tips. And by the way, if you don't know who 52 Audio is, that's the website which successfully leaked the design of the AirPods Pro before they were released. So they definitely have a good track record. And according to the Elec, the AirPods 3 may cost $199, which is actually the same price of the current AirPods 2 with their wireless case. And now here's a leak that's pretty insane. Mr. White shared a photo of an AirPods component in black. Now, this is something that I honestly can't imagine happening and personally wouldn't really be excited for because the pure white color of AirPods is extremely iconic. But you guys let me know what you think. After that, 52 Audio started releasing more images of the new AirPods 3, and John Prosser ended up saying that those leaks are legitimate. Then on March 10th, Gizmo China released some brand new renders of the AirPods 3, and they look basically identical to the ones that 52 Audio previously showed. We then got even more images of the AirPods 3 from 52 Audio, which makes it convincing that these are the exact AirPods we will see at launch. And at the same time, 52 Audio added that the price tag will most likely be around $150, but I personally think that $200 is more realistic. And then a few days later, an investor's note from Ming-Chi Kuo stated that mass manufacturing of AirPods 3 would begin in Q3 of 2021, which starts in July, which means that AirPods 3 are being made right now as we speak. And very recently, on July 23rd, we got a new leak from Digitimes saying that shipments of PCB and SiP modules, or basically the chips, have started to take off, which pretty much suggests that we could be getting AirPods this fall. And then right after that, we got a tweet from Dylan DKT, an Apple analyst and iOS developer, confirming that AirPods 3 will release this September alongside the new iPhone, which would line up perfectly to the leak from Digitimes. Since then, Mark Gurman reported the same thing, agreeing with Dylan DKT. So it looks like we're gonna see AirPods at the same time that the next iPhone comes out, which makes a lot of sense. Now, something very interesting that has to do with both the AirPods 3 and the next iPhone is the new possible support for wireless lossless audio. Apple released lossless audio for Apple Music this past June for those with iOS 14.6 and later. And to listen to it, you need to either use a wired connection or use the built-in speakers in your device. Now, the weird part is that Apple is going all in on lossless audio, with them announcing that they're gonna try to move their entire catalog over to supporting lossless. And the reason it's weird is because of one major issue. Right now, you can't stream lossless audio using wireless devices like AirPods, AirPods Pro, and even AirPods Max because current Bluetooth connections don't support lossless. However, we've seen a lot of leaks about the new iPhone 13 coming with updated Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2, as well as Mark Gurman saying that the AirPods 3 will have an upgraded wireless chip. And those upgrades will make it possible to add support for wireless lossless audio, and we know that Apple's been pushing lossless like crazy lately, and there is no way that Apple will leave out their AirPods from lossless listening. Apple makes a lot of money from AirPod sales. In 2020, AirPods made more revenue than Nvidia and AMD combined, and almost just as much as Netflix. And guess what Apple makes even more money from? Services. So it's a no-brainer move to give AirPods support for wireless lossless, since it'll incentivize a lot of people to get both new AirPods and an Apple Music subscription. Now, there are multiple ways that Apple can actually make this happen, so if you guys are curious, let me know and we might make a dedicated video going into detail on exactly how Apple can pull this off. Now, with all that out of the way, should you upgrade to the AirPods 3? Well, that all depends on what you're upgrading from. If you currently have AirPods Pro, then you should absolutely not get the AirPods 3. As we know, the AirPods 3 are going to adopt the Pro's design, but they are not going to come with active noise cancellation. So there's really no point in even considering it because all you're doing is downgrading to basically the same device, but without ANC. Apple is instead targeting the AirPods 3 to people who still have the first and second generation AirPods from years ago, which is surprisingly a lot of people. Even Vadim, one of the hosts of this channel, still has the original AirPods from 2016. And for now, he says he's totally fine with them. And there are actually many people that actually prefer the regular AirPods to the AirPods Pro because of the open ear design compared to an in-ear. And I even know an Apple fanboy that loves to drop cash on the coolest and most expensive products, and even he didn't upgrade to the Pros because he loves the fit of the regular AirPods that much. And as I said before, the AirPods 3 are set to release at a price of around $150 to $200. I'm honestly expecting the latter, which honestly is really good considering that the AirPods 2 with the wireless case have an MSRP of that much. So if you have AirPods, it's definitely worth upgrading if you're considering it. Now, if you currently have AirPods Pro and want to upgrade, the only worthwhile option is to wait for the AirPods Pro 2. So let's talk about what those are going to be like. In October of 2020, Mark Gurman claimed that the new AirPods Pro 2 will come with a brand new circular design and an upgraded wireless chip. This definitely makes sense because if the new AirPods 3 are adopting the AirPod Pro's current design, then they need to update the design of the Pros too so that they'll stand out. And there are already a lot of earbuds out there, like the Amazon Echo Buds and the Galaxy Buds, that have a stemless circular design, and they are fantastic. Having a flush design makes earbuds much more comfortable to lay down with, and you're easily able to do things like change your shirt or wear a helmet. And not only that, but they'd allow for bigger batteries as well. As far as the release, Ming-Chi Kuo says not to expect the AirPods Pro 2 until 2022. So it'll be a wait. But there have been a lot of whispers about a new innovative experience that could have to do with health tracking. And interestingly, Digitimes actually reported that Apple was going to pack ambient light sensors into a set of AirPods in the future. And AppleTrack's take on that rumor was that Apple would use those sensors to measure your heart rate and other biometrics, as it would possibly be more accurate than measuring on your wrist with an Apple Watch. So that could be one of the added exclusives to make the Pro 2 stand out even more. So based on those leaks, if you currently have the AirPods Pro, then you should sit with them for the time being until the Pro 2 get released. And if you have the Gen 1 or Gen 2 AirPods, then the upcoming redesign with the new wireless chip is definitely worth getting. These new AirPods are going to be game changers, especially being the first wireless Apple products that could support lossless audio. If you guys want to see a dedicated video on how Apple can pull that off, then click the subscribe button above and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss out. Check out those two videos over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.